Hi, this is Daniel DiTuro. This video updates, expands, and answers viewer comments on my 2015 video. In this video, I'll share what is wax and parchment paper, differences between the two, and their advantages and disadvantages. To begin, what is wax paper? Wax paper, also known as waxed or paraffin paper, is a moisture-proof, non-stick paper coated with a food-grade wax. It's available in rolls and pre-cut sheets. After exposure to high heat, the wax vaporizes, leaving paper resembling parchment paper. You can see how the wax coating makes the paper translucent before exposure to high heat. Parchment paper, also known as baking paper, is paper treated or coated to make it non-stick. Unlike wax paper, an acid bath process or silicone coating makes it non-stick. Unfortunately, parchment paper manufacturers may not identify what process was used. You can also buy parchment paper that's been bleached or unbleached. Some are biodegradable. Parchment paper is also available in rolls or pre-cut shapes. Rolled parchment paper can be more economical than pre-cut shapes because you can cut it to fit many pan shapes and sizes. There are significant differences between wax and parchment paper. Visually, wax paper is translucent compared to the more opaque parchment paper. Wax paper is marketed for protecting surfaces, being microwave safe, and easy cleanup. A common comment from my original video is about using wax paper to line baking sheets and pans to prevent cakes and cookies from sticking. The maker of this brand of wax paper clearly warns against exposing it to oven heat. The caveat to this caution are the words direct heat. For example, lining the bottom of a baking pan with wax paper limits or prevents exposure to direct heat. But melted wax can still coat the pan and food. Exposing wax paper to direct oven heat melts and vaporizes the wax. The melted wax can coat foods, and the vaporized wax produces a pungent odor. Think of the odor of burning candles. Like wax paper, parchment paper prevents foods from sticking and reduces cleanup. Unlike wax paper, parchment paper can be exposed to direct oven heat. Also, this sheet of parchment paper can be reused to bake another batch of cookies. This brand of parchment paper is rated oven safe to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. At that temperature, you can use parchment paper to roast vegetables and make oven-fried potatoes, or bake cakes, breads, biscuits, cookies, muffins, pastries, and much more. Professional bakers use parchment paper to prevent foods from sticking and reduce cleanup. You can also use parchment paper to cook and bake foods. This French method of baking foods in parchment paper seals in moisture and prevents foods from drying out. As you can see, the parchment paper has yellowed, but is still watertight. Juices that would have evaporated are retained, reducing the chance of overcooking. The result is moist, very low-calorie baked fish and other foods. Baking or broiling foods without sealing in parchment paper allows the juices to evaporate. Parchment paper is great for drying herbs. After drying, you can use your hands to crush the herbs, and then use the parchment paper to transfer the herbs to your storage container. You can use parchment paper to prevent foods from sticking to stainless steel skillets without adding fat. Use wax paper to roll out doughs and pie crusts without adding flour. Parchment paper becomes non-stick after exposure to high heat. It must be dusted with flour to prevent sticking. Unlike parchment paper, wax paper does not require heat to become non-stick. Wax paper is great for separating foods like brownies, soft cookies, cakes, and pancakes that may stick when frozen. If you're concerned about lining baking pans with aluminum foil, substitute parchment paper. Some advantages of wax paper are its low cost compared to parchment paper. It's available in most stores, it's non-stick and reduces cleanup, can be used to roll out biscuits and pie crusts without adding flour, it's microwave safe, and you can use it to separate sticky foods for freezing or storage. Some disadvantages include: do not expose wax paper to direct high oven heat. Oven heat melts and vaporizes wax. The vaporized wax has a pungent odor, it's not reusable, and it's water resistant, not watertight. Advantages of parchment paper include its availability in rolls and many pre-cut sizes. It reduces cleanup, it's microwave oven and oven safe. You can use it to prevent foods from sticking to stainless steel cookware. It can be substituted for aluminum foil to line baking pans. You can use it to bake fish and other foods, and it can be reused to bake breads and cookies. Some disadvantages include it costs more than wax paper, it may not be available in some areas, it's non-stick after exposure to high heat, and you must flour the paper to roll out doughs. Please leave a comment if you have any questions about this video. Thank you for watching.